Hey guys, I'm back with another video. This time I have something for Halloween. I want to show you how to make a vampire effect in Photoshop. This is not going to be a fully detailed tutorial like my other tutorials that I have. I just wanted to show you how I got some of the effects, and I'll probably make a text tutorial with more details, but this is just a walkthrough, so to say, a preview of how I made this effect. This is the original photo. This is a photo of my sister. I took the photo myself with a flash bounced on a wall, and you can see that I was looking for this kind of light where the face is half in shadow. I'm not a great photographer, but the picture was okay for what I wanted, and this is the final effect. And I want to show you how I made this blood and how I got this effect here. So I'll scroll down on the layers palette. I have here all the layers that I used to make this, and we'll go from the bottom up. So I started with the original photo. You'll have the photo on my website if you want to download it and try it yourself. So once you open your photo, the first thing that I did is work on the skin a bit. So I created a new layer. Let's name this smooth skin. And I used the mixer brush tool. I don't know if this tool is available in all Photoshop versions. I'm using CS6, but I know that Photoshop CS5 Extended has this tool. It's called the mixer brush tool, and I used it in other tutorials as well. And I use it to smoothen the skin. You can see the settings that I have here, really low. And I have this option checked, which is to clean the brush after every stroke. Otherwise you get the texture for one place and you smudge it over the other one and it's not looking good. So make sure you check this option. What you do is basically, let me delete the layer and do it again. I also make sure I have the sample all layers when you create a new layer, so that way I don't affect the original image. So what I do is just increase the size a bit and just start painting like that, and you can see that it just smoothen the texture. You have to be careful with the shadows. I explained that on other tutorials. I think I have a special tutorial for this. I'll take a look and I'll put the link on the video description if I find it. You just have to be careful with the shadows and go in the same direction, and just use low settings here, and that's how you can build up the texture on this new layer. You can see what I did with a few strokes. And let me enable the original image. I went through all the patches, all the parts of the skin, and I got this effect. Again, the before and after, just to smoothen the skin a bit. You don't want to get rid of the wrinkles. You have to leave that. That gives you don't have to take away the expression. And then some adjustment layers. I used black and white on the using the overlay blend mode, but I didn't want to leave it at 100% because you can see that this increases the contrast and it adds too much shadow here. So I left it at about 50%. Again, I said it's on overlay, and if you want to see the settings, I think I only changed the. Well, actually, I used a preset here. Let me go back on the history. I used the yellow filter, I think. Anyway, this is just to bring some of the highlights. You can see the effect. It just adds more contrast. You can use levels if you want to. Then another adjustment layer that I used is the hue saturation. I wanted to desaturate the skin because vampires are very pale. They don't have too much color on the skin, but you can see that I used the layer mask to kind of hide the effect on the mouth, because I want to have this more saturated than the skin itself. You can also do that on the lips if you want to. Make sure you use the brush tool and use soft brushes like that. And if you want to have the lips also more saturated, use the layer mask to hide the effect. You can see that I also desaturated the teeth to have them white, or more or less to white. And then I added yet another adjustment layer, which is levels, to increase the lightness on the image, to bring add more light, and you can see the settings here. Then I added another adjustment layer, which is a gradient map, and I use this very unsaturated colors. If you want to copy the values, these are the values for the shadows, and this is the code for the highlights. I use this gradient map to add more light yet and more contrast here on the shadows. You can see that if I disable, and also to add a bit of color, a bit of yellow on the image. And I use the hard light blend mode for this adjustment, and again I use the opacity of 50%. So a lot of adjustment layers. Let me group them and show you the effect, so without the adjustments and with the adjustments. So adjustment layers are really useful. Let's go with the eyes. I could make a separate tutorial only for the eyes, I guess. And let me disable the effect, because I grouped the eyes and add an effect on the group. This is a feature available on CS6. You can add effects to groups. So let me start with the left eye. Actually, they are inverted, I think. Well, no, it's a copy. Anyway, this is the right eye. What I did is I took the eye of a cat. I'll give you the link to the stock image that I used. I copied that, made it smaller, pasted here over the image, and I used the layer mask, because you can see how this was the original image, of course without the effects. This is the eye that I took. Then I used the layer mask to mask this part to make it fit the eye, and I see this part here is not well masked. This effect that you can see here, I achieved that using layer styles. So open the layer styles for the eye, and let me enable it like so, and let's go through to the styles that I added. The first thing that I added is a gradient overlay, and I used the black and white because I wanted to add more contrast. You can see the contrast between this orange and the yellow here on the eye. So if I disable that, you can see the effect. I used the radial type. I should be able to move it, but I don't know why I cannot do that now. I think I changed a bit here the gradient. Just you can do this by judging that by eye. And I used the color burn because I wanted to add that contrast, that high contrast. And just play with the angle and with the scale. You can see, since I used the radial, I wanted that black part of the gradient to be on the sides, and you can increase the gradient to make it fit the size of your eye. And you can also play with align with layer, but you shouldn't do that because it's not working really well. And just play with the angle and with the scale, basically. And if you want to have a smoother transition, just change the gradient here, but you should leave it somewhere here. Just try it for yourself. It depends on the size of the stock image that you have. Let's see what other styles I used. Color overlay. I used the linear burn because I wanted to add more color, and I used this color here. You can use other colors. You can change the color of the eye to white if you want to, but I wanted to have this effect. And then inner shadow, because I wanted to add the shadow of the eyelids, so it just adds a bit more depth and a bit more realism to the eye, just adding this bottom and top shadows. And just use these sliders to adjust the size and you can see here on the eye the distance and the smoothness of the shadow. And I use the soft light blend mode. You can try other blend modes if you want to. And that's all the styles that I added to this cat eye. And then I just duplicated that and put it on the left side, and maybe I should have taken that highlight there, but anyway. And I have this other layer here which I think it's empty. Yep, I have to delete that. And then I put all both of them, both eyes, on a group, added a layer style to the group. This is something that you can only do in Photoshop CS6. But if you don't have CS6, what you can do is, once you have this effect on the eye, right click on the layer and select rasterize layer style, and then apply the style that I will show you now on this layer again. So that way you have the eye rasterized, and you can reapply another set of styles. So these are the styles that I applied to the group. You go from here to here. Basically what it does is increases the contrast, and it adds more light, and it makes them pop. So as you can see, it's just a single effect. It's the color overlay. I used this color, this unsaturated yellow, and I used the color dodge. You know, I use color dodge a lot for light effects, so this is also great for this kind of eyes. And you can adjust the opacity depending on how much light you want on the eyes. Be careful not to do something like this, because you'll burn the highlights there. You want to leave it something like that, about 58 or 60%. So that's how I made the eyes. You can use snake eyes as well. I tried to use snake eyes, but I found those cat eyes and I like them. Then I added some digital makeup. I created a new layer, and I used the soft brush and set this layer to soft light, and just got a brush. Let me do it again so you can see what I did. You set the brush to black, increase the size a bit, make sure you have the opacity and the flow to about 40 or 50%. And just go over the eyebrows and on the eyes here. Make the brush even smaller, like so. And this is just to make the eyes look a bit better, so to say. I did this really quickly, but this is what I did on the original image, just to use a strong color. So just use this layer on soft light, use a soft brush and darken the eyebrows and the eyelashes a bit. And that's how I got here. Now let's go with the stitches. This is a stock image that I found. As I said, you have the links to the stock images that I used on my website. There's a link on the video description, and this was the original part of the image which I cut from that stock image. I pasted here, rotated a bit, and I used the soft brush to mask that. And in order to make it fit the color of the skin, I used adjustment layers. I used levels to increase a bit the midtones. You can see that the image was too dark, and with the levels I brightened it up a bit. And then I used hue saturation to desaturate it. I tried to match the color of the skin, but I didn't really do a good job. So I checked the colorize. Of course I used this as a clipping mask on the stitches layer, because I only wanted to affect the stitches themselves, not the skin. So I checked colorize, reduced the saturation a bit, and I increased the lightness because I wanted to have more light. You can see the skin is really unsaturated and really bright, so you can use this slider to increase the lightness and increase the saturation so that you can see the color that you get, something like this, and then bring down the saturation until it matches the skin. And you can see that now it matches the skin really well, the skin color. So without the hue saturation and with the hue saturation. Make sure you make a good job here on masking using a soft brush on this layer mask on the stitches layer. And then let's go with the teeth. Well, I made the teeth myself with the pen tool. So I got the pen tool. I'll do the other one so that you can see how I did it. So get the pen tool, set this to shape. Let's choose the fill color, set it to white. Well, actually what I did is sample a color from the original teeth. So use the color picker, sample a color, and then get the pen tool, set this to shape, and I'll create a new layer. I created both teeth on separate layers, and what you do is just start from here, for example, and let's go at the same height, use a guide. Something like that, and then another point there and there. Let's get rid of the guide, and now you can use these points with the control key. You can click and move the points to where you want them, and just adjust these points. And with the Alt tool, if you click and hold the Alt key, sorry, you can click on a point and adjust these control points here. And with the control key you can click, and also with the Alt key you can click on individual points here and adjust this to make the teeth the shape of it. Okay, something like that. Make sure you leave some space if you overlap the original, because we will use a soft brush to mask it and you want to have some room for masking. Okay, something like that, something really quick. And now you can rasterize this if you want to, but my advice is not to rasterize this, leave it as a shape so you can modify the shape if you want to. And now you have to make this look a lot more realistic, of course. Let's make a layer mask. Use the soft brush to mask this. Make sure the opacity and the flow are to 100% and color set to black. Do a first masking and reposition this. And what you have to do now, which is really important, is to match the light and make it look more 3D, because you have to match the original teeth. So what you do is again use layer styles. And the first thing I did is use gradient overlay. Use this set to linear and set the angle to 180 degrees. You have to see where the shadows are. So in this case the shadow is on the left side, because you can see, just watch the teeth and just try to do the same. Try to match the light and the shadows, and you have to play here with this gradient and with the angle, and make the scale smaller. Put that there and try blend modes. Maybe soft light will work, or maybe overlay. Overlay is not working too nice. You can see that it adds too much light, so what I'll do is use the black to transparent, but first I have to change the color to black and white. So before you go to the layer styles, make sure you change the colors to black and white, and then open the layer styles. And that way when you go to the gradient overlay, you can select the black to transparent gradient, because we only want to add shadows, not highlights. Again, play with the angle here, try to find the perfect angle. You can also try reflected and have shadows on both sides. And let's use another blend mode so you can see it better. This one, for example, and increase the size just a bit, change the angle. Okay, something like that. And let's go back to soft light, or maybe color burn. Let's say color burn, and reduce the opacity. Well, it's not looking too nice. Maybe change the angle. So just a game here. Play with the settings here. Try different blend modes, different angles, until you get the right one. I'll move it slightly on that side because I want more shadow on the right side. I'll probably stick with the soft light. Okay, so once you get the shadows and the highlights right, you can also use color overlay if you want to darken the teeth. You can use a dark gray and use soft light, and then just adjust the opacity. Let's try a different color, something like that, and you can control the opacity and make the teeth brighter or darker, but let's uncheck that. And once I got that, what I did is add some noise to this, because you can see this is really flat, really smooth, and you have some noise here from the original image. So what you can do is, at this stage, you can rasterize the layer. If you want to have a backup, you can duplicate this layer and rasterize one of them. So what I'll do is, if you're really sure that this is the final image and that you don't want to make any changes to this, you can rasterize it. So you can right click and select rasterize layer and rasterize layer style as well. Well, let's not rasterize the layer style because we can apply the filter without affecting the layer style. So once you rasterize the layer, you can go to filter, noise, add noise. Let's move this away, and you can see that about 1% is enough. You can see the change before and after. So just to add some texture on the teeth itself. And of course it's not looking as good as this one because I spent a lot more time working on this, but it pretty much matches. Make sure you make it curved, not straight like that. But with a bit of practice you can get it right. And that's one of the teeth, and this is the second one. It's not really matching this one because these ones were from here, but I changed them, so this is not really looking too nice right now, but I just wanted to show you how I made that. And what else? Let's see what's on this layer. Then I started to add blood, and I also masked this part here, but I don't know what layer is that. I just covered that part there. I didn't like that. Then I started to add blood on the face and here on the mouth, and I'll show you the stock images that I used. It's a bit disgusting, so if you don't want to look, I just warned you. These are some of the stock images. It's a pack from DeviantArt. You can use it. You can download this for free. And what I tried to find is images that have blood on white surfaces like this one. So I just needed parts of it. I don't need things like this, just some splatters of blood. So I can take parts like this, copy that or cut it, and go back to your image. I'll close this, and let's create a new layer and name it. You can see that I didn't even rename most of the layers. So what you do when you have images like this, what you want to use is the multiply blend mode, because with the multiply blend mode you get rid of the white background. So you can use the multiply, and then you can see that it's not looking too nice. You can still see that background there. So what you can do is press Ctrl L to load the levels and just increase the highlights and the midtones until that goes away. And then you can place that here. You can see that it's not entirely gone, but you can rotate this, and now use a layer mask to mask this and a soft brush. And that's how I added the blood, but of course all over the skin and on the mouth. You can open another stock image, another part, copy it, paste it here, change the blend mode to multiply. Let's leave that here, and you can also desaturate the image a bit, like so, and use the levels again to increase the highlights so that the white background goes away. Click OK, create a layer mask, and just mask this, and just leave parts of the blood where you want it, like so. And let's see on the original image what else I did. Yeah, you can see the place where you put that. On some places it looks better, but let's try. Maybe I have some other stock images. Let's see. I also used this one. I'll show you that in a second. But I got most of the blood from this blood package, and I can see I have another one here. I'll give you the link to both packs. You can get this one, for example, and let's get this part, for example, from here. Copy it and paste it here. Change the blend mode to multiply, and maybe place it here. Just rotate it a bit. And I just want to desaturate this. It's too saturated, so I'll use the hue saturation to desaturate it like that. Create a layer mask and use a soft brush, but not too soft. Okay, we'll fix that in a second. Maybe place it higher up here, just to have some blood over the body. And of course you have to fix this with the brush, increase the hardness a bit on the edges. And that's how I added blood on the face. Let's add some more using that other pack. Let's see, maybe from here we can find some more blood. I don't like that. These are the main images that I used, this one and this one. So let's open this one again and maybe get another part of the image, like this one. Paste again, change the blend mode to multiply. And I just added blood here on the mouth, basically. Let's rotate it like that. Use the levels again to get rid of these edges, like so, and desaturate the image a bit again. Press Ctrl U to load the hue saturation and decrease the saturation just a bit. Create a layer mask. So the process is the same. Just repeat that a few times. Use the hardness to 0 and a big soft brush like this. Just mask this part. And if you want to make the blood a bit darker, you can use levels. Okay, so just add a bit of blood here on the face and on the teeth, and let me show you how I added that dripping blood there. There's a tutorial on DeviantArt, I'll give you the link to that one if I find it, showing you how to create very realistic blood by hand, but I'm not that, I don't have the skills to do that, but it's really awesome, and I'll give you the link to that. But I'll show you what I did with this one. I used the stock image, this one, and I just copied this part here and paste it here again. Change the blend mode to multiply to get rid of the white background. Press Ctrl T to load the free transform and make it a bit smaller, like so, and placed it here, just a bit bigger, like so, because I want to mask part of it. So create a layer mask for it and just mask that part there. And I changed, yeah, I already changed the blend mode. I used the hue saturation to desaturate, so it's just the same that I did to the other blood images. Decrease the saturation a bit, and that's how I added that dripping blood. It's not looking very realistic because something's missing, maybe some shadows. Let me see. Oh, it adds the shadow of the entire image, so layer styles is not an option here. You can try to do that by hand, paint some highlights maybe, or some shadows on a separate layer, but well, that's a bit more advanced, and I think it looks nice on the original image. Let's see it again. Yeah, I had these highlights here, so I guess they're still there. You can see them there, and After adding some adjustments, maybe we can bring those highlights back. So that's how I added those the blood and all these effects and the teeth and the eyes. I added some blood here on this part of the dress and some blood here on the chest. And then I added an owl, but I don't really like that. So well, I'll show you that. These are the blood. Yeah, here's the part that I covered with the clone tool. And then more blood. Let me delete that one that I just added. This is the original blood. And more layers here. More blood here on this part. So, and you can see that I'm just used the multiply blend mode and the layer mask to mask the edges. More blood, and still more blood on the mouth. So there, and then I added that owl there, and this was the original image. I used layer styles to add shadows, painted some shadows with the brush, and then more shadows painted with the brush. I desaturated, increased the contrast, and matched the color using a gradient map with these colors here. And then I don't know what is this. Yeah, this is a part of a stock image that I used, sort of a wound there that I used using the overlay blend mode, but it's not really visible. And I matched the skin again using adjustment layers. And then I got to this, which was the original image, and from here I went to this, and I want to show you how I get to this effect. What I do, I call this final adjustments. When you get to or post-production, or whatever you want to call it, once you get to the image that you want, the final result, what I do is create a stamp of all the layers, pressing Shift, Control, Alt, and E. For Mac, I think it's Shift, Command, or Option, or I don't know. I'll put that on the video because I don't know right now. I never remember that combination for Mac. And that way you create a stamp of all the layers merged on a separate layer. And once you get this stamp, let's name this final. I used the filter. I used the Topaz Lab, the Topaz Detail filter. This is a filter that gives you sort of HDR effects, and it basically enhances the details. I don't know what it does, but it's really good. And I'll show an alternative to this. I used the interior strong detail. I always use this preset, and just then edit it myself and reduce some of the detail because it's too much. So you can increase the details like so. You can boost the details. So it's a really good plugin. And I clicked OK, applied the filter, and you can see that effect. And then I used a gradient map, and just changed these colors to an unsaturated blue for the shadows and an unsaturated yellow for the highlights, like so. Click OK and change the blend mode to soft light, and then just reduced a bit the opacity because it was too strong. And that's how I get that effect. But let's assume you don't have that plugin, which is very likely. What you do is create a stamp again. And one thing you can do is, once you create the stamp, duplicate it, just to have a backup, and go to Filter, Sharpen, where it is, Sharpen, and Unsharp Mask. And what you can do here is use a really high radius, depending on the size of your image. Let's use about, let's see, 10, and decrease the amount to about 100%, and set the threshold to 0, and just try different radius sizes. This one looks nice, I think. And click OK. And let's see the before and after. So this was the before and after. So it kind of have the same effect. Not really. That plugin works a bit better, but you can use this this technique as well. And you can try, let's see, the darken blend mode, where it is, the darken blend mode, or just simply leave it on normal and go from there. And then you can do the same adjustments, hue saturation to desaturate the image a bit, and that gradient map that I just used. I always get this one and then just modify the colors. As I said, an unsaturated blue for the shadows and an unsaturated yellow for the highlights. Set this to soft light, and I think it looks nice as well. Let me group that and compare it to the original. So this is what I get without that Topaz Details plugin, and this is with it. So it's not a really big change, but it looks nice as well. Maybe I desaturated the image too much, so maybe I would leave the saturation there. So that's my video for this Halloween. I hope you liked it. As I said, I might write a text tutorial for this, more detailed. One other thing I wanted to say about my videos is that you can embed the videos that I have on YouTube on your website if you want to. On YouTube you have, if you click the share button, then you get another button that says embed. You can use that code to embed the video on your website if you want to, but you cannot download the videos or upload them to other websites. That's something I don't allow you to do, and also I don't allow people to translate the tutorials to their language. So I would be grateful if you understand that and if you respect my work. It takes a lot of hours to make something like this, and I share it with you. So if you want, you can embed that on your website, but do not download the videos and upload them on other websites. So, and that's all I wanted to say. So again, thanks for watching, and see you next time.